Yeah, so this was where we stopped last time, 41, page 41. Now let me take up the new lines. These are all, we are reading experiences of Ashwapati, experiences of Sri Aurobindo himself, uh, what was shown to him. And now we will go into much deeper depths, what is shown to him in deeper depths, which appears so dark. Yeah, so if one of you can read the new lines. Even were caught as through a cunning wheel. Okay.
Even were caught as through a cunning veil, the smile of love that sanctions the long game. The calm indulgence and maternal breasts of wisdom suckling the child laughter of chance. Silence, the nurse of the Almighty's power. The omniscient hush, womb of the immortal word, and of the timeless, the still brooding face, and the creative eye of eternity.
Yeah, so this is, these are the realities. Earlier we read a line, immense realities to corner shape. So these are the things shown to him as if through a very clever, cunning is clever, very, kind of chalak, what we say in Hindi. So as if through a very, very deceptive and clever veil, he saw a glimpse of a smile, as if someone is smiling, seated beyond the wheel, beyond the veil. He's smiling and saying yes to the Leela of the world. The smile of love that sanctions the long game. So there is a yes that has been given to the play of existence, to the play of manifestation. And that is why we are here. Otherwise, without that yes, may the drama go on, may the play or the Leela go on. Without that yes from love, from divine love, it's not possible that all of this would happen and continue to happen. So, somebody, if I can call that somebody, but there is a sanction. There is a sanction from the smile of love, which is saying yes to this game of worldly existence, of mortal existence. The calm indulgence and maternal breasts of wisdom. So the breasts of wisdom, the calm indulgence of wisdom, suckling the child laughter of chance. So, we all have experiences of chance events in life. Whatever happens by chance, unexpected, unpredictable things happen in life which we have not planned or decided for ourselves. Now, it may appear that it is just a chance that has happened. It may appear that it was just unexpected, out of blue that it happened, but it is not so. It is not so. The calm indulgence and maternal breasts of wisdom, suckling the child laughter of chance. So the events which appear as unexpected events or unpredictable events, which I have not thought of in my life, they happen, and it seems that they're happening on their own accord. I have no kind of say in that, but it is all a part of a higher intelligence of wisdom, with a capital W, of wisdom, which is suckling, which is as if chance is a baby, and it is suckling upon the breasts of the mother, which is wisdom, or this higher intelligence, which also is called as pragya, the higher wisdom. In Vedas, we call it pragya. So it's all a part of plan, even those events which appear as chance. Now, the what can we do as a human being, when we are kind of boggled up by events in life which we have not really planned for ourselves? We, first of all, we rarely plan anything. Whatever we have in our head is whatever society thinks is fine. Okay, that is my plan. A marriage, to kids, settlement, all that. These are the things I plan of. There is nothing else that I think of for myself. And now anything that happens which is outside this mind frame appears as a chance event for me. Somebody dies, I lose somebody prematurely, unexpectedly. Maybe I encounter an accident, a disease falls upon me, or I lose a job. All these events, I lose a relationship. All these events we consider as chance. Now, it's very clear here that chance is not really a chance. Chance is also a part of a higher plan. What can I do about it? Because we struggle, we suffer when these events happen, which are not according to my mental opinions. What can best be done? What is the attitude to be taken? And I was just kind of reflecting over it, and actually we don't have much choice here. The only choice, if I really want to be peaceful and contented in my life, is that to bow down to the higher intelligence and to say that, okay, if you have this in plan for me, I'm ready to go through it. Let me see what it entails. What can be done? You cannot force things upon others. You cannot force situations and people in our life. If they are not supposed to be there, they're not supposed to be there. What can we do about it? And we see that the more we try to force the things our way, it's just a very ugly kind of a game that happens. Yeah. So what can we do? We can just bow down our head and we can say, okay, show me what you have to show me. That is what we can do. The path of surrender is to be taken. And then he talks about silence. Silence, the nurse of the Almighty's power, the omniscient hush, womb of the immortal word. So, whenever we go in deep sleep, why do we like to sleep? Why do we feel refreshed after getting up from a good kind of a sleep? Not where the mind is always going on, but a deep sleep, but a restful sleep. Because silence is the nurse. Silence, the nurse of the Almighty's power. It is nursing, it is nurturing the power within us. Without having quiet moments to myself, without having deep inner communion with myself in silence, it is impossible to have a sane life, a peaceful life. So, this is what happens with us in deep sleep. Whenever we are in the phases of deep sleep, that's the best recharge that we get whenever a mental conflict is going on, emotional conflict is going on. Because in the other kind of a sleep, in dreamy sleep, the mind is still active. Yeah. So, there the proper rest, absolute stillness is still not there. The mind is not at rest. But in deep sleep, the mind goes back into its source, which is the stillness. Stillness is the source of mind. So it goes back as if a wave goes back and crashes back into the ocean. And that's where we recharge our batteries. So silence, the nurse of the Almighty's power, the omniscient hush, the silence, the stillness that is all pervading but is not visible. One has to tap into it. That stillness, that omniscient hush is the womb of immortal word. Immortal word also a reference to whenever we are able to express anything. The universe that we see of senses and of mind, it is a universe of manifestation. Something can be touched, something can be expressed. All this is coming from a stillness, absolute fathomless seas. That's where it is all coming from. So that omniscient stillness, the hush, is the womb of all the expression, all that comes into expression in mortal existence. And of the timeless, the still, brooding face, and the creative eye of eternity. So where all the creation is brought forward into manifestation. He got this glimpse through this cunning veil of this things beyond normal sense perception. He got a glimpse of this timeless brooding phase, as if it's just looking in a brooding way at all the manifestation. And it's bringing forth time. So time comes from the timelessness. What is the origin of time? The timeless is the origin of time. Just like what is the origin of expression? The stillness, the absolute hush is the origin of expression. Yeah. So this is all he got a glimpse of, Ashupati, as if a veil was rent and he was able to see all these realities, that yes, they are there. We don't see them, but for him, they became very, very real. So anything from these lines? I think we read earlier in few lines, Savitri, where I think there was this reference to the river that flows on a river bed which is absolutely non-moving. The river bed does not move, and that is why it gives the capacity for the river to move. So that immutable, immovable within each one of us and with outside each one of us also, that is the source of all creation. All that I see moving is coming from that immutable, immovable stillness. Yeah. So, can we tap into that stillness in day to day life? Otherwise, it becomes a mess. Life becomes a mess if we do not tap into that stillness, that immovable presence within us, that which is untouched by the happenings of life, that from which all the play is brought forward, but that which is not part of the play, in the sense that it is not tarnished by the play. It is not dirtied by the play, and that's why it can be a part of the play. Just like an actor, if an actor knows himself fully, he can play a villain or a murderer or a terrorist, whatever, or a convict. He would not mind it because he knows who he is. So being a murderer, playing a role of a murderer or a terrorist would not tarnish that actor, because the actor knows that I am just an actor, and hence I can play the role very, very viciously also. Yeah. But when we lose that stance of being an actor, when we lose that I am still untouched by the role I play, then I suffer. Then being a murderer, being a terrorist, it feels like as if it has stained me. It has tarnished me. I don't want to be there. I don't want to do all that. But an actor will be able to do, the one who knows that I'm just an actor. So it's very important, I believe, for each one of us to constantly, because the flow of tendencies and impulsions is so strong that we forget who we are. And then entanglement happens in life, knowingly or unknowingly. So constantly, that's why we have these sessions, or any other satsangat that you may attend, because it's very important to remember again and again, again and again, that it is a play. Now how well can I play it? Yeah. Yes, we will fail a number of times. We will get entrapped and entangled a number of times. And yet we will also have the shamelessness to get unentangled a number of times. Yeah. That is how I believe we can take it for our day to day existence, tapping into that silence. So this is what is shown to Ashwapati. And then it's about the goddess of inspiration, which we read earlier also, how it now kind of enters Ashwapati. Earlier, Ashwapati was just having glimpses through inspiration, just like we human beings have. Sometimes we are inspirational insights, but at times we are dull. We don't have any inspirational insights. But now, owing to his capacity, his receptivity, the goddess of inspiration takes a seat in his being. It makes his being her home, as if. Yeah. So I think one of you can read these lines. Just go through these lines in yellow.
The inspiring goddess entered a mortal's breast, made there her study of divining thought and sanctuary of prophetic speech, and sat upon the tripod seat of mind, All was made wide above, all lit below.
Yeah. So this goddess, the goddess of inspiration, as if he entered a mortal's breast, the breast of Ashupati here, or it can enter any breast, for example, anyone. All we all are capable. There is this compilation by A.S. Dalal called "The Powers Within" of works of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and it talks about there are so many hidden, latent capacities within us which are waiting to be accessed, but are rarely accessed because the human being just lives on the surface. So now, in our mortal breast, the goddess of inspiration is as if she enters that being, made there her study of divining thought. It's the transformation of thought. So far, thought lives as a slave of ego. So far, thought lives as a slave of my tendencies, my desires, my greed, my ambitions, my impulsions. That is how we use the thought. But now, a work needs to be done, which is the divinization of thought. All the thoughts turned to the divine. And this is each one of us. This is a possibility for each one of us. And I believe personally, through my own experiences also, that there is no other hope for us. No matter how many times we may go back to older patterns and entanglements, if we are to live a better life, we have to turn all our movements slowly to the divine. All the thoughts, all the feelings, all the emotions to the divine. I think otherwise there is no end to this entanglement that happens in relationships, amongst people and in workplace, wherever within ourselves. There is no hope for us if not the divinization of thought. Yeah. So the goddess of inspiration, she has as if she's doing a research in her being, her study, her research of divining thought. Divinization of thought is going to happen now. All the thoughts will be as if they will be communicating intuitive insights. They will not be living for the ego, for the falsehood, for my greed, my patterns, my behavior, my likings, my preferences, but they will be living for transference of intuitive guidance. This is what is meant by divinization of thought. That whatever I receive, whatever insights, whatever intuitions are received, they will be transferred through the expression of thought into this mortal existence. Yeah. So they are not captured. The thought is not captured by ego's use. So far in our life, we see that the ego uses or abuses thought for its own purposes. So this is where the goddess of inspiration starts to work in his being. And then there is a reference of this Greek priestess. I was just going through Shraddhavan's commentary also. So she shares that here Sri Aurobindo has used this reference of sanctuary and sanctuary of prophetic speech, and sat upon the tripod seat of mind. All was made wide above and all lit below. So this sanctuary is a reference to a little secret space in Greek temples, like in a temple of Apollo in Greece. There used to be this ancient myth creature called Pythia, a priestess who would sit in the temple, Greek temple, and who would stay in her sanctuary. And then she, in that sanctuary, in that private place, she would sit on this tripod, like a small stool with a tripod, like three legs to it. And when she will sit on it, it will directly connect her to uh, the divine. So she was in communion with the divine. And then once in this trance state of communion with the divine, she would utter prophetic utterances, things which are not yet, they have not yet happened but are supposed to happen. So all those she will reveal in these different kind of words when she was in trance kind of a state. So this is a reference that inspirational goddess, she she is now sitting upon the tripod seat of Ashupati's mind, as if Ashupati's mind has become a stool, that tripod stool. The moment inspiration goddess sits on it, it begins to commune with the divine. So the mind is very receptive, it's supple, it's elastic, it's there for the divine purpose. It's not being used by falsehood or ego. Yeah. So this is why the communion with the higher levels of consciousness is happening, owing to the fact that Ashupati's mind has now become a tripod seat for the inspiration goddess to sit on it and to commune with the divine, to commune with higher intuition and higher insights and guidance and wisdom. All was made wide above. We earlier read in Savitri again a reference to this, the top of our head, which in younger children, in infants, newborns, is very soft. And that softness is there because they say that it connects them to the divine directly. That's why the soft spot is there. It's a direct connection, and slowly it hardens. Slowly it hardens, and then the separation dawns that I am separate, God is something separate. But in the infancy, in newborn stage, one is just one with the whole field of existence. An infant is just one, a newborn is just one with the divinity. And that's why I believe that they're so attractive and beautiful and full of, I can say, beauty. There is a beauty in all the movements, full of innocence, beauty, and delight, a child. But then slowly it gets sealed now that it has to go through all those experiences of life. So, this connection from the top of the head to higher consciousness, this got opened owing to this divine communion. All was made wide above and all lit below. What is below? Below is our tendencies. Below is my sanskaras, my nature, my patterns of behavior, my patterns of thought, my patterns of emotional thinkings, patterns which I'm not even aware of. All that is below. The lower nature, the lower prakriti is below. That which keeps us entangled and insane, I would say. Yeah. So there also a lot of light was shed. Yeah, I think there is a comment. Yes, exactly. Yes, Jyotsna ji. Anterior fontaine, front opening. Yeah. So even the spaces below the lower consciousness got a lot of light now. Usually, what happens in us is that there is a lot of darker parts in us, what we call as shadows or tendencies or impulses. And we are a slave or a puppet of those tendencies. We don't even know that we are just a puppet. We have no realization of it. I am, as I was sharing last time, I was in touch with an astrologer and talking to him just about general musings about life, and it is so obvious, it is so clear that I may think that I am like that owing to my own accord, but no, you are just what your birth chart tells you. There's nothing more to you than your birth chart somehow. But then the attitude with which you begin to take life, if you begin to offer yourself to the divine, if you begin to offer all your movements to the divine, then something new which is not in your astrological charts may happen. But otherwise it is very, very clear that we are just a puppet of our natures, which is predicted by the planets we are born in. It's very obvious. There is nothing more to me. Why am I like this? Because I am born to be like this. So it's not that I am here of my own accord, that I have made a lot of effort to be like this way. I am just this way because I cannot be any other way. Try hard, but you cannot be any other way. This is your nature. So it's like, actually it feels like we have nothing really but our attitude. And obviously to a large extent attitudes are also under the astrological charts, but I believe that mother says that uh, the grace, divine grace, if we turn all our movements to divine grace has the power even to change hard iron fixed laws coming from what I am supposed to go through in this life. And one of the example I just got reminded of while talking about this, there was this two friends. Let me tell you a very short story at this. Vipul and Vijan. So these two friends are got to know of a mystic who lives in a hut in a forest, and he is very kind of acclaimed, famous, that he gives a lot of nice prophecies about your life. Like he would tell you what is to come in future. But this sage, what he does is that he goes into the forest because he does not want anyone to find him, because he knows that even astrological utterances can be changed. So what is the point talking about it and kind of making a ruckus about it? So he goes and hides inside the forest. But then these two friends, Vipul and Vijan, they are going, and they kind of get lost on the way, and then they stay at his hut. When in the morning they are trying to leave the hut, they say that now we know that you are this famous astrological sage. Why don't you tell something about our own life, both of us? And he says, no, no, don't take me there. But then they force him a little. So he says that, okay, I will say something about it. So he says to Vipul that you are to become a king in a few time, in some time. And to Vijan, he says that you will be killed, you will be assassinated soon. So this is what he says, and then they just kind of take their leave and go off to their village. Now, the moment Vipul hears that I would be a king, he changes his attitude. He becomes very rude, and he becomes like, okay, I'm going to be the king, so I can do anything, something like that. So he changes, he lowers his consciousness even down below what he was earlier. While on the other hand, Vijan, when he knows about this, that I am to be assassinated, he says that, okay, if I am to be assassinated, what best use of life can I make? So he becomes very contemplative, reflective, and if he is not doing social service, then he's reading and contemplating and being with himself. So he changes his lifestyle. Now, after a period of time, Vipul comes to him and he says that now I have to become a king. So let's go together and find a place for my kingdom. So he goes to a land. Both of them go to a land, and there they try to dig up something. And there they hit a pot of gold when they are digging the land. Now, the moment they hit a pot of gold, a robber, a thief comes and he tries to attack the fellows. Now, Vijan is stronger, so he tries to take the blow of what was come onto Vipul. So he tries to save Vipul. So he gets a cut on the shoulder, and then he's able to throw away the thief very quickly. Then they make the pot of gold half half, and then they go away home. So this is what is happening, and after a long time, when he's not becoming the king and he's not still assassinated, they go to that sage again, and they ask, you said this would happen, but this has not happened. So what is wrong? So the sage looks into their eyes and he says that, Vipul, you lowered your consciousness and you actually misused the guidance, and that is why instead of what was to come to you, like a whole kingdom, what came to you was just a pot of gold. Yeah. And Vijan, owing to the fact that he actually changed his lifestyle, knowing that this is the end or this is the fate, this actually changed his fate, and he survived only with a cut where he could have been assassinated. So this is how we can change our attitude towards life. That we know that we have to go through challenges, difficulties, but can we turn our whole being slowly, gradually, in whatever capacity, to the divine? Is that a possibility? Otherwise, it's all a ruckus that we can create for ourselves, getting entangled. So this is how grace can enter even iron fixed laws. It can change, it can alter laws. And now in Ashwapati, all was lit below. So all the impulsions, my patterns of behavior, what I'm made of, the mud that I'm made of, all that has the capacity to get changed owing to the presence of divine light, divine grace. Yeah? Those areas are not dark anymore, which remain dark. Those areas are lit below. So can we also look into our own tendencies, patterns, slowly, taking baby steps, not in a rush, because there is so much still we are not aware that, yes, this is my tendency. Some of the patterns I am aware, Some of the patterns I'm not even aware that this is my tendency. Like there is no stepping back from that pattern. I think that this is me. And as long as this is me is there, then I cannot see it from a distance. Yeah. Yeah, this is it from this paragraph. Anything, anyone?
Beautiful story, Monica. Really,
Yeah.
very nice.
Yes, this I heard from, maybe Chitraji, Manoj Das.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he has written this book, Tales Told by Mystics. And
He
there he
used to
has,
tell stories, yeah, through lot of stories he used to, yeah, explain
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Correct. Even Bhagavat, we got nowadays because of Parikshit. There was a curse for him. He had to die within 7 days by a snake bite. But he wanted to utilize that time to hear about Krishna's story from birth, from Krishna's birth to all his leelas. That is why now we are having Bhagavat, that beautiful Bhagavat stories, no? Because Parikshit aspiration only led to those stories actually.
Beautiful.
During the time of death, especially in the 1 week time, he is going to be that snake is going to bite him anyhow. A
Yeah.
curse was there on him, but he never thought of that death, but he concentrated upon that Bhagavad stories. And so now we got those stories actually. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Is he the same Manoj Das who expired last week?
Yes, yes. Yeah. So now, we were talking of divinization of thought. Now all the thought will be working as a slave of inspirational insights. It will be just full of light and wisdom and clarity, divining thought. Yeah. So let's go further. Yes.
In darkness's core, she dug out wells of light. On the undiscovered depths, imposed a form, lent a vibrant cry to the unuttered vast, and through great shoreless, voiceless, starless breaths, bore earthward fragments of revealing thought, hewn from the silence of the ineffable.
So what is inspiration doing? She is as if digging a well. You know how we dig a well in a village, for example. In darkness's core, in the core of darkness, where there seems to be no light, absolutely darkness, absolute darkness, no light is there. There, inspiration is able to dig out wells of light, wells of light. So this is what is the purpose or the task given to inspiration. It is coming from the higher consciousness, it is uniting with the divine, it is uniting the lower consciousness with the divine, and it is able to make sense even of the darkest of phases of life. So it is able to go through or pierce through the crust, the rigid, the full of inertia, the crust of ignorance. It is able to pierce through that darkness and then able to dig out wells of light. Like we have wells of water, here we have wells of light. How beautiful. On the undiscovered depths imposed a form. The depths which are undiscovered, we don't even know that those depths are there. Those she was able to give as if a form, an expression was given to those undiscovered depths within us, the depths of our own hidden powers. We don't know, they are totally undiscovered. Now she's able to give them a form. Lent a vibrant cry to the unuttered vasts. There is, as if the life that we live as a human being is just the life lived and on the tip of the iceberg. And that is where a whole lifetime is spent. We don't even know what is there beneath the surface of water. And we hardly have time enough because we are so occupied with our routines, with our lifestyles, with our attachments, with our, all the so-called little things of life, that there is hardly any space and time left for tapping into what lies beneath that tip of the iceberg. So what inspiration does is, inspiration goes, strikes out the wells of light hiding in the darkness, and goes to the undiscovered neither depths, and lends a vibrant cry to the unuttered vast. So those things in us which are not even, they're not even expressible. We want to talk about it, but we can't. Yeah. So they're not even expressible. Unuttered vasts. They don't have a voice, but inspiration gives them a voice. So it connects the darkness to the light. It connects all the hidden inconscious and subconscious patterns in us. It gives them a life. Give them a life. And through great, shoreless, voiceless, starless breadth, bore earthward fragments of revealing thought hewn from the silence of the ineffable. So imagine that she is a paniharan, one who carries this matka full of water from the shore or the river. So it's, that is the image that Sri Aurobindo takes here, that as if it is filling up that well of revealing thought, filling up from the well of ineffable, inexpressible, from that still silent vast. She has a container, and in that container she has fragments of revealing thought, thoughts which are revealing in nature, thoughts which are full of insight and inspiration, which connect me with my deeper depths. These thoughts she's carrying in her container, and she's carrying it very, very far. She's carrying it through great, shoreless, voiceless, starless breadths. So her journey is a lone journey because it is deep, deep, deep down in the darkness that she has to get the light back. So from the silence of the ineffable, she takes all these revealing thoughts full of insight, inspiration, and then she goes, towards all these unuttered domains, and bring it light into light, bring the earthward reality into light, bring the earthly existence into light and inspiration. That which is full of darkness, that which is full of tendencies and patterns, it is able to shed a lot of light, getting the light from the silences of the inexpressible. This is the task of intuition, inspiration. It is in direct communion with the divine. Bore earthward fragments. So earthward means the lower nature, the prakriti, and that is what bothers us most. We are a puppet of our prakriti. I am a puppet of my own tendencies and patterns. There it is able to get the fragments of revealing thought as light, as something which we become aware of, which we were not earlier aware of. Oh, this was the purpose of me going through this and this situation, for example. Yeah. So this is the task that she does in Ashupati's being. Even the neither regions, the lower regions, they are flooded with the light. Usually, whenever we sit in meditation, yes, the light is there, and we are able to have a peace and sanity there. But the moment we have interaction with the world, again darkness is back. Something or the other happens, entanglement happens in relationships, or something unexpected happens, and I'm again back into that darkness. So if this communion with the divine is to be there constantly, or not even constantly, at least in greater degrees, then all the light is being shed in the neither the lower members of the being. They also are flooded with light. Yes, anything from here? Okay. So who wants to read next?
May I read, Monica?
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah, please.
A voice in the heart uttered the unspoken name. A dream of seeking thought, wandering through space, entered the invisible and forbidden house. The treasure was found of a supernal day.
Yeah. So the access to these treasures within us, it's not an easy access. It's not like one finds it all one fine day. It's hard, as we have read earlier also from Savitri, a long, dim preparation is a man's life. So what is needed for accessing the treasure? Yes, the treasure may be there. I am not aware of it yet. The powers may be there, hidden, lying unused. I may not be aware of it. But what to do about it? How to have a yearning for it? So, first of all, we have to go through all these challenges in our human life. We have to get a lot of rejections, lot of slaps, blows. And finally, if we are lucky in this life or in another, I don't know, then we develop this yearning for the divine. you know, uh, then we develop this longing or seeking for something beautiful, something which is full of peace, content, and joy, because we are not able to find it in life, in material existence. So then this yearning develops. So this yearning says the unspoken name. A voice in the heart uttered the unspoken name. That name which cannot be spoken, which is never spoken. The moment you speak it out, you tarnish it. So you can just yearn towards it. You can have a yearning towards it. Hmm? But a voice with a capital V, and it must have a lot of significance. Each letter, each word of Savitri has its own significance. A voice with a capital V, a voice in the heart, uttered the unspoken name. So it was able to, the purity that it was able to utter that name which is not spoken, which is unspoken. A dream of seeking thought, wandering through space. Now, this seeking, this yearning, kahan milega, this yearning is very important. A dream of seeking thought, wandering through space, it was able to enter the invisible and forbidden house. Now, what is this forbidden house? This is for all of us to muse, reflect, contemplate, and find it out for ourselves. But this yearning was able to, as if, pierce through the door and entered the invisible and forbidden house. The treasure was found of a supernal day. So, in the depths of the inconscience, in the depth of darkness, full of darkness, no respite there, in the depth of it, a treasure is found. A treasure is found. A treasure was found of a supernal day, a day which is absolutely, as if it was hidden or lost in the darkness, the sun, as if it was just absolutely obscured by the darkness. But now that darkness is pierced and the sun is outshining. The treasure is found. supernal day. A sun that never sets. And it actually never was setting, in when darkness, the disguise of darkness was there, it appears that the sun has set. That is why one goes into depression. It appears that there is no light in my life, but it is only a disguise of darkness. If we go deeper, if we have this yearning, if we are able to pierce through, then according to these lines, an everlasting supernal day, a sun that never sets, never ever sets, it is there, and the treasure can be found. Yeah? This is all coming from the work of inspiration. If she was able to dig out wells of light, go to the undiscovered depths, impose a form, then carry forward these revealing fragments of thought to the earthward condition. And now a voice uttered in the heart this unspoken name. And then a treasure was found. And then there is a description of this treasure, I believe. Yes, let's read. Yeah.
Monica, can I ask something?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Also the passage just above, the one these lines that we just looked at. I was just contemplating for the last couple of minutes about how, you'd mentioned how when we're in meditation or sitting very still, and then it can all feel so beautiful, one can feel in touch with, or like the divine has touched, or I can feel like the divine has touched me, or I'm in contact with something greater, the mother. And then there is when action is needed in the world and it's a challenging situation. In those moments of meditation of feeling very vast or connected, it can feel like, oh, I'm willing to, for example, give the other everything, or I have no attachment to anything. But it's like you were mentioning about coming down to, to our material life, to our lower members, how to tell, I go sometimes, what is really the practical action that needs to happen if it's a challenging situation, as opposed to something that's perhaps in the end impractical, by just saying, oh, okay, the other can have everything, or I'm not attached to anything material, yet the body has to live. And I don't know if that's clear enough.
Yeah. Swapna, as we have shared earlier also, there is no formula here. There is no formula. The only direct formula, if one can say, is the mother. Cling to the mother, cling to the divine. And then you will be guided what is the best way to cruise through, to steer through the life situation that you are facing. But what I feel, I may be wrong, I feel that we think that we are with the mother, but we are not. And in those moments where I actually cling to the mother, stay firm with the mother, with the divine, I think I see the light, clearly see the light. I may have to go through a bit of darkness, a challenge, but then there is a solid faith, unshakable faith also there supporting me. So I have a feeling that we think that I have given it to the mother, I have offered my life to the mother, but have we really? I don't think we have. I don't think. There lies the catch. Because if I have offered my life to the mother, and if I'm actually able to carry it out in detailed manner in day-to-day living, which is very, very hard, very extremely hard, it is almost kind of a lifetime of a journey. And that's why I have a little certitude that somewhere my offering is lacking. Somewhere I'm not clinging to the mother. Somewhere, because if I'm with the mother, then I will be guided. Sooner or later, I will be guided. I may just have to go through a deeper phase of challenge. That's it. We go through that. Yeah, we can go through that. So there is no particular formula of when you say how to. No, there is no how to. There is the only one thing is there. Cling to the mother, cling to the divine, and you will be guided. It is not possible that you will not be guided. And what will be the guidance? That will be according to your unfoldment of life. I cannot tell that, nobody else here can tell that. We can obviously share experiences, but formula no one can give you. That formula is yours. It is a swapna specific formula, you know.
Yes, when I said the how, often I'm just mean like I'm in the contemplation myself of these lines of Savitri, or what we're saying, what is that sense experience of, it's that exploration of, like you say, when, how, what does that feel like for you, for example, or what was your experience of when you felt like really you allowed the mother's will, and I'm
Okay,
trying to
okay,
find that in
okay,
myself that way. Yeah.
okay. So I think I can say a little bit on that. That anything that I am able to sense through the mind or senses is not truth. Yeah, because senses deceive. So you cannot say that you will have a sensation of truth. Truth cannot have a sensation. You know, objects have a sensation. I can touch an object, I can sense the object, you know, I can think about the object, but you cannot think about the truth. But one thing is beautiful here, that I can definitely look at the falsehood. So this light of looking that we all have the capacity, that yes, looking at my movements, that yes, this was in accordance with the mother, and this maybe could be reflected upon further. This light of knowing, this light of looking at my own movements, this is our guiding light. So there is no feeling in my body, in the sense that, you know, that, oh yes, the mother is there. Yes, you can have a kind of a feeling through the chakras, for example, but even then there is no surety that the path you are taking is a path of truth or a path of ego. So this is for each one of us to see for ourselves. Okay, what this move, where did this movement come from? Why did I ask for that? Yeah. So I think it is, that's why I was sharing that there is no formula, and there is also no sensation, in the sense that I cannot sense, I can only sense an object, and divine is not an object, mother is not an object. I'll not be able to sense the mother, but I can actually use affirmations and thought to say that yes, I am with the mother, I'm going to stay with the mother, and mother will show me the path. So once I have a faith like this, then I see that I am guided in whatever way the life unfolds. So it's not a very clear cut, straightforward direction that one can get here. The only golden key, I believe, is stay as much connected, as much offered to the mother. Because I see that the way we live our life, we are not usually offering our life to the mother. We are just maybe taking the life name of the mother, but my life is not offered to the mother. Otherwise it will become a very selfless life, if you look at it, that I'm not living for my own desires, ambitions and greed, but I'm living for whatever task is worthy of doing. That is where self offering comes, that mother, I have given myself to you. But mostly what we want is just a relief or respite from our challenges, and that's where we call the mother. But I think it's a good place to start, at least, you know, because that's how we come closer to the divine. If not for the challenges, how will we come closer to truth? Yeah. So again, it's not very straightforward, like the path. It has to unfold in its own way for yourself, for all of us.
And that line, no, in darkness core, she dug out wells of
Yeah.
light. That is the whole truth, actually. Whole truth, my experience of life, I'm telling. So many times I entered into darkness, many times, but every time in that darkness, she comes and embrace. She comes and embrace. So that is the only assurance, I mean, only assurance we need, no? So that is the
Absolutely.
real,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bilkul. Totally. So along with the darkness in life, I feel that we also need to have this yearning, and that is where the yearning comes from, faith, that you have faith. And that's why, although you are going through a challenge or a dark phase in your life, emotionally overwhelming, mentally overwhelming, yet you also have faith that the light will be shown to me. So when we have both of them parallelly, yet the darkness is there, the faith is also there. It's not like that I'm going into despair and, yes, nobody is ever going to rescue me, and no, there is no mother. So all this mother also shares that keep away from these thoughts. These are the dark adverse forces. So always have faith that the mother is with me. Sooner or later the cloud will pass away and the blue sky will shine. Yeah. And somehow for us human beings, the kind of comic, I would say, existence that we have, that is our journey. We have, no matter how evolved we may call ourselves, 20, 30 years of sadhana or spiritual life, even then we fall into a deep well. What can be done about it? But if not for faith, there is no hope. So that's why they say that faith is the basis of kind of this path, or walking on this path, that yes, the phase will pass and the wells of light will be dug out and shown to me. Not an easy path, not an easy journey, but we all have our shares of pain and sorrows and sadness. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, so let's go through these lines in blue. Who wants to read?
Shall I go? Monica, anybody else is there?
Yeah, go ahead. If not anybody,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
please.
Yeah. Lifted, it showed the riches of the cave, where by the miser traffickers of sense, unused, guarded beneath night's dragon paws, in folds of velvet darkness draped they sleep, whose priceless value could have saved the world.
Yeah. So, in the deep subconscient, the cave of the subconscient, the darkness, what is subconscient? Our patterns, our impulsions, our desires, our tendencies, we are not aware of all of them. They govern us, they rule our being. So, this deep patterns going since centuries in human beings. In the deep subconscient glowed her jewel lamp. This is the lamp of this treasure that has been dug. The jewel lamp of, in the deep subconscient glowed her jewel lamp. Lifted it showed the riches of the cave. Now, inspiration, when it is as if inspiration is a goddess who has a torchlight like a laltane in her hand. She is with laltane, this jewel lamp, a lamp which is studded with jewels, very shiny, very bright, beautiful. She lifts up this lamp and it showed all the riches of that deep, dark, subconscious cave, which so far appeared very, very gloomy to me, which so far appeared very as if I was afraid of going there. Imagine that there is a basement and it's all dark and gloomy. I'm afraid of going there. I don't want to go there because I feel afraid of the darkness. But with inspiration, with insight, what happens is she goes in the depths of this unconscious, subconscious, deep cave, and she lifts her jewel lamp, and it shows as if a light was lit in that deep, dark cave, and it shows the treasure lying hidden in that cave. So this is where we come to when mother says, do not go by the face value. Face values deceive. An experience in your life which may appear very, very ugly, very disturbing, may show you something beautiful. Be prepared for it. Yeah? But that's another thing, that we need a lot of strength to go through challenging, discomforting, and painful experiences. So that strength is needed, and we have that strength. Once we say that, okay, I will go through all this pain, all this sadness, sorrow, whatever is there, then there is also this lifting up of this light into my riches of the cave. Yeah. Where by the miser traffickers of sense, unused, guarded beneath night's dragon paws, in folds of velvet darkness, draped they sleep. So these riches, they are guarded. They are guarded by this darkness, the night, the dragon paws of darkness. It is scary. The dragon paws are scary. I don't want to go there. Yeah. So it is guarded by that darkness. The darkness is just a guard guarding those treasures. Unused. They are all lying unused. Because nobody wants to go in there. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to touch it. I just want to talk about pleasant things. Do not talk me of pain. Yeah, do not talk to me of pain. And it's not to anyone else that we have to talk about pain. Obviously, we can talk about that also. But it's to our own self that we have to kind of begin a communication, that what is this showing me? Let me go closer. Let me go closer. Where by the miser traffickers of sense. Now, here, whenever we have a sense experience, like a beautiful relationship or anything, experience of senses, the beauty experience of beauty through the senses, experience of tasting something through the senses, seeing something through the senses, what we do is we do not offer it to the divine. We become greedy. We say, okay, I want to keep it with myself. I don't want to offer it to the divine. And what happens by this keeping with ourselves is that it becomes rotten. So if we are to use the senses wisely and also make them purer, then we have to, whatever sense experience we may have in life, and which we will have in life, because as human beings we will have senses and mind and experiences of senses, we just offer it to the divine. We take the sense experience as a prasad, as a gift from the divine, that yes, thank you for offering me this. And whenever we have prasad, we do not ask for more. I know it's very hard not to ask for more. We do fall into that trap again and again. And yet I have to bring myself to senses and tell myself that this much is enough. I'm okay with that. Yeah. So these are miser traffickers of sense. They're very miser, they're conjuice. They don't want to give it away. They don't want to offer it to the divine. And once I offer all my sense experiences also to the divine, not only my challenges and darkness, but all the beauty and delight that I have in my life, then I can go deeper into this challenge. Otherwise, it will just be unused. All the treasure will be unused. Where by the miser traffickers of sense, unused, guarded beneath night's dragon paws, in folds of velvet darkness. Comforting, velvet is very comforting, soft in nature. So the darkness is soft, although it is painful, but it's comforting. It's like a darkness of inertia of tendencies. They just go on and on and on throughout our lifetime. Draped, they sleep. So all these treasures are sleeping, unused, guarded by dragon paws, whose priceless value could have saved the world. This line is so precious, that if we are able to tap into our own hidden treasures, and we have to find for ourselves what are they, nobody can find out for ourselves. Mother Sri says its priceless value could have saved the world. So it means that we are responsible for the destruction of the world also. Why didn't we go and find the treasure for ourselves? And this becomes my sole responsibility as a human being. No other work has much priority as to be in communion with myself and to actually keep on digging the treasure. Yeah. This is the treasure of our capacities, of our truth, of our sublime divine presence within the being, purity that hides within the being. But as Sri Aurobindo says, we are dog's tail. Human beings are dog's tail. That yes, we are given wake-up calls again and again, again and again, and yet we are back again, twisted and turned. Yeah. So this is the task for our human life. And it's also, there is a reference here with the dragons of darkness, in Vedas. I've heard about this name called Panis and Dasyus, which are as if they are entities or agents who guard, dark evil agents who guard these treasures. So whenever I buy into any thought which is dark thought, I'm actually becoming a friend of these dark adverse powers. So because they will not let me use or get to the treasure. They will just kind of escape. All my attention will go to the darker thoughts, abusive thoughts, and hence I will be kept away from the treasure. So this is what we have to become aware of in our being, that whenever we see darker thoughts or thoughts of abuse, negative thoughts coming into being, transform them, change them, mutate them. And Mother shares that use the power of imagination to mutate the thoughts. That these reaffirmations, or when, for example, if I'm worried about a family member and constantly the thought of worry is going in my head, I can actually put my thought to a best use. And the use is that I pick up a paper and a pencil and I begin to write that yes, my loved one is taken care of, all is well, and mother is protecting, the whole earth, whatever comforts you. So you can actually change the pattern of negative thinking to a relaxed kind of an atmosphere, but we hardly use it. What we do is we go into the pattern of abusive negative thought, and hence we become also a partner in this night's dragon pause, and hence I'm not able to reach the treasure. The treasure is light, the treasure is truth. I am keeping myself away from the treasure by giving or succumbing to the negative thoughts. We are puppeted by the thoughts. So can we also begin to slowly transform our thoughts, divinize our thoughts, and become a slave of truth rather than of this forces of darkness? Is that my possibility or not? Do I want to use that possibility? These riches of the cave, these are addressing the powers that lies, the powers which are lying totally unused. I don't even know I'm capable. So much I'm drenched into the thoughts of unworth. I'm giving in again and again, succumbing again and again to the thoughts of unworth, that I don't have time and energy left. I feel so drained out that there is hardly any energy left to have a deep communion with my own self. Yeah? So I think it's our almost a social responsibility, to dig out for individually for ourselves, for our own individual selves, this treasure. Mother says that each of us human being has to become a gold. It is urgent in this human life. Become gold sooner than later, whose priceless value could have saved the world. Yeah, so I think I can call it a day here. We can stop here, enough to reflect upon and muse over. Again, this is a work of a lifetime, not to be done in 1 day or 2 days. But what we can do is just to keep at it, Keep at it. Yes, I will fail. Yes, I will be again become a slave of ego tendencies, but shamelessly get up again and keep at it. Keep at it. That is what we can do. Yeah. Yeah. So, anything from these lines? Yeah. Okay, then. Mother shares that instead of thinking about what all is bad in you, unworthy in you, ugly in you, you actually find out what is beautiful in you and start from there. Yes, there are many weaknesses that I have still, but can I start from what comes effortlessly to me? In which are the areas in which I feel like offering myself to the world? Start from there. Start from that drop of beauty in you. And we all have drops of beauty in us. Along with all the weaknesses and ugliness, we also have beauty in us. So, in order to live a truer life, can we start from those places where I'm already feeling empowered? I feel like an effortless way I can offer myself. Beginning from there and then slowly expanding also to the weaker domains in me, and never kind of settling down with myself. Mother says that never get satisfied with yourself, so that we can keep on progressing no matter what is our age, and that progress is joy. And when challenges are not there, then progress is also not there, so where is the joy then? So this progress, going through challenges, finding about ourselves, finding about our hidden powers, hidden capacities, finding a new birth for ourselves again and again. I think this is human life. Nobody can escape it. Yeah. Nobody must escape it. What else will we do in this life? Yeah, so I think then we can call it a day, if not anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Monica, thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Monica.
Bye-bye.
Bye.